Hi, in this video tutorial, we'll be looking at different techniques for working with countdown timers in VDMX. To begin, I'm going to start with a new project and open up one of our templates. But note that you can of course do this with any existing project that you have. I'm going to load up the simple mixer template, which lets me crossfade between two videos, left and right. So in this particular case, we just have a basic gradient for the background. We can of course load in some other media. Say I want to have a movie file, like some flowers going on. Beautiful. So we've got some video that we want to mix on one side, and we can of course trigger this on the other side if we want. So we can use really either side for our countdown if we prefer, and our original content. In this particular case, I'm going to work with our left bin for doing our countdown stuff. So I'm going to add a new page where we're going to have some of our content loaded in. One detail that I'm going to do here is switch this layer into OpenGL over mode and then back to the preview. And this will ensure that our stuff that has alpha channels appears over, and this will just give us a little bit crisper of an image. If you don't switch that over, you'll kind of see the difference. To begin, I'm going to show off one of the easiest ways that you can work with a countdown, which is to just make still images. In this case, I've just made, using Photoshop or whatever your other favorite software is, the number 10. One of the things that you might want to do for this is to add an extra preview window in so you can actually preview what's going on the left layer. There we go. We can now close that composition tab. We don't need it anymore. So now we can specifically see what's happening on this layer. So we've got the number 10, and that way we can now fade in, and we have 10 over our flowers. We can fade out the flowers a little bit more by pulling it a little bit further this way. And now, if you're counting down with an MC, you can just use the previous clip button. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! So, working this way is one of the easiest things because you can just have a lot of control both over what the images themselves look like and how long you stay on each one if you're going with a timing other than an actual 10-second timer if somebody's reading out the numbers out loud, which happens at a lot of live events. But if you do need to work with something that's a bit more automated, whether or not you're counting down or not, you can load in a movie file that you've pre-created, and once again, trigger that, fade it in, and here we have our countdown timer. I made this in motion. It's rather silly, but here we go. 1, and now it's 2017, and that'll go out. One of the things we might want to do is switch that to cut to black on end. And of course, now we can cut back to our regular video. So having a countdown movie automates the timing, but you still have control over when it starts, and that can be pretty useful. Similar to this would be to have an automated real-time generator. So in this particular example, I have one that is made in GLSL as an ISF shader, and here the controls let you increment or decrement, specify a particular color that you want this to render as. You can fade this in now. And similar to working with images, we can now decrement our timer manually. We could, of course, set this up to work off of a timer if we want, but for this example, we're just going to click through it. With this, of course, we can also adjust our size. It'll also let you adjust where it starts from. And since this is an ISF shader, we can open this up and modify it, which we'll do in another tutorial. If we want to go the route now of having it a little bit more automated, we can switch to the auto countdown version of this. And when we do this, it'll start counting down from 99. So maybe you want to have a little bit of a pre-roll. It also has the option of counting down from 20 or from 10 directly. But this way we have 10, and we can fade it in. With this countdown timer, we also have a strobe on 0, just as a quick example of what you can do. So here we have some strobing in our output right now. And if we need to re-trigger this, we can always just eject it, and when we need to, start it over again. So it's similar to working with a movie file, only it's an interactive generator. Last, we have a digital clock that we can load in. And again, this is made as an ISF shader, so you can open this up and modify it to however you want. And right now, when I trigger this, it's showing time mode. So we're just at 1 minute after midnight, and we're in 24-hour clock mode. If I switch that to 12-hour clock mode, it'll say 12:01. Now, I can go into System Preferences, and just to show you what this looks like, let's open up date time, and I'll have to do this. Fun toys. And now let's just switch this back to a little bit before midnight, so 59, and make that PM. Oops, how do we make that PM? There we go. And hit save. Cool, so now my system clock has changed. We could see that in our output. It's now counting up to midnight, very close. But if I want, I can also switch this from time mode into countdown mode, and now it's showing me that we have 44 seconds left to midnight. So if you want to do this as a countdown timer, as a clock, you can run it either way. So maybe you're going to run it as regular clock until 1 minute before midnight, and then at midnight you switch it down to being a countdown timer, or maybe you just use it for the last 10 seconds. You can use it in a variety of different ways. And similar to the other ones, you can adjust the color, so if you prefer something else for your digital clock readout. With this one, we also include the option of shifting it up and down. So if you want to have this just as part of your video as your set is going along for the entire night, and then just kind of builds up to this, you can do that as well. And here we go. Boom. All right, well now it counts over and it resets to being 24 hours until the next day. So I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial with a few examples of how to get started with working with countdown timers in VDMX. Good luck and Happy New Year!